What's going on, y'all? It's Combo Breaker 99. I'm back with another video. All right, y'all, back with another discussion video. Just a few points I want to cover here. As y'all know, last weekend, Virna Jandiroba, she scored a dominant win over Kanako Murata. And in my opinion, it was a great showing of skill from Jandiroba. And like I said, it went the way I predicted from everything I pointed out. But some fans are still feeling some type of way. They're feeling that with such a dominant win over a top-level prospect, one way to make an excuse for the loss to Virna Jandiroba is that Kanako Murata was too small. Not too green, not too reckless, but too small, which of course I disagree with, which is what I'm going to talk on in this video here. But I just kind of find it crazy that this is the excuse that some people are making, not just on my videos, but in other discussions. I've heard some people say that this was a mismatch. Virna Jandiroba was too big. Kanako Murata needs to be an atom weight. But I find that crazy. You know why? Because nobody was saying that before the fight. I didn't hear anybody saying that this was a mismatch before the fight. Everybody's been saying that after the fight and after the fact that she was dominated in this fight last Saturday. I mean, Norma Dumont versus Erin Blanchfield. I've heard a lot of fans say that that fight was a mismatch. As y'all know, Norma Dumont, she needs to be fighting at featherweight, but she was moving down to 135 for this fight. Erin Blanchfield fights at flyweight, but she was moving up to 135 for this fight. Good thing that the fight didn't happen, but I heard a lot of people make that argument that that fight was a mismatch. But the best example was 2 weeks ago, Manon Fiorot versus Tabitha Ricci. Tabitha Ricci moving up to strawweight, and Manon Fiorot, who's a pretty big flyweight that could possibly campaign at 135 one day, they faced off 2 weeks ago. I think that was the best example of what a mismatch is. So with those two fights, I've heard people make arguments about those, but nobody was really saying that about this Virna Jandiroba fight versus Kanako Murata until after the fight. So sometimes I think that those are just excuses that fight fans make for the fighter they think high of, and they kind of reach for whatever they think is the closest to a logical thing. I mean, look, I see some promise in Kanako Murata. I'm not going to lie. She's a promising strawweight, and I hold her to a high regard for the level she's on. And, I still see her as a force, but in my past videos, you've always heard me say that she's a ball of energy. Those are the words I use. She's a ball of energy. She's exciting, strong, dangerous, but, and there's always that but I throw in there, but she's a bit reckless and still has some holes in her game, which best explains how she lost. The reason was not size or weight. It was all technical mistakes. Nothing as far as size, being too big. Virna Jandiroba too big was really neutralizing Murata. Nothing about any unreal power shots that was just knocking her back where she didn't need to be in there, kind of like, Tabitha Ricci versus Manon Fiorot, where she had no chance at all. There was nothing like that. It was just the choices that Murata made with her stand-up and the reckless moments on the ground against a much better grappler. Too aggressive in the guard, bad position, too much space, sloppy ground and pound where Virna Jandiroba could just get a grip on the arm, get up her high guard, and just pull that arm through and go for those armbar attempts. So nothing about a mismatch in there. And I mean, if you really want to look at the size, we can look at the tail of the tape right now. I mean, Virna Jandiroba stands at 5'3" with a 64-inch reach, and Kanako Murata is 5'1" with the 62-inch reach. So not much difference there. Not a great deal of difference there, like Manon Fiorot versus Tabitha Ricci, or even Bea Malecki versus Veronica Macedo. And again, when you look at a fighter with her frame, not every 5'1" fighter is an atom weight. Just because they have that height, just because they're real, just because they're shorter than most, that doesn't mean they need to be at 105 pounds. Not everybody's built that way. Some women have big bones and just have that thickness to them. Murata, she has a wide frame. A lot of muscle, similar to Jessica Andrade. I know Jessica Andrade is bigger, but Jessica Andrade, she's also 5'1", 5'2", but she has a bit more muscle and thickness to her. So there are fighters that may be short, but they have the weight of a strawweight because they just can't shed all that muscle off, because it'll really kind of mess up their performances and their reflexes if they try to move down to 105. Like if Tecia Torres or even Carla Esparza tried to lose muscle, I think it would really affect their performances. Fighters like Murata and even Tecia Torres, like I said, they're mostly muscle. They just have to make the right adjustments and make up for the lack of height with different things like speed, timing, and power. Even like Loveth Young, she's not a very tall fighter. She makes up for the reach disadvantages against longer fighters by stepping in with the overhand right. She'll come over the top with the overhand right, and she'll kind of bounce around on the balls of her feet and get her boxing and her timing down. So there's just different things you have to kind of compensate for the size of your body. And if you go back and look at Kanako Murata's career, the majority of her career is as a strawweight, with no issues. She's fought at 117 pounds also. Hell, she's even fought as high as 125 pounds in a fight. So when you really look at it, And just look at her frame. The girl can make strawweight. You know, she doesn't need, you know, she needs to be a strawweight. Just looking at the muscle, she needs to be a strawweight. You know, she doesn't need to move down to 105. You know, the only issues that she had in the fight last Saturday were a lack of defense and just not committing to good angles and just shooting straight in for the takedowns, you know, being very predictable in there. So yeah, man, Virna Jandiroba, she deserves full credit for this fight. This was a legit strawweight. We were all holding her to high regard for the level she was on. Kanako Murata, that is. You know, she beat a fighter. She brought a lot to the table in this fight. You know, she really put a big test for, she was a big test for Virna Jandiroba's striking and her jiu-jitsu. So it's just a matter of Kanako Murata working on her defense and being smarter in the guard and not as aggressive and just work on her craft for her body and her frame. So yeah, man, that's pretty much all I got on this, guys. Like I said, I just want to make that argument that, look, Virna Jandiroba versus Kanako Murata, it was a legit strawweight fight. Everybody wanted to see it. It was not a mismatch. Let me know in the comment section what y'all think, guys. Combo Breaker 99, I'm out. Subscribe. Peace.